The following is a Candlepin Stars and Strikes rebroadcast featuring some of our most memorable programs.
Candlepin Stars and Strikes.
Look at this. Look at
Candlepin Stars and Strikes is sponsored in part by Somerville Lumber. Looks good. Looks good. That's the goal. It's a goal. Candlepin Stars and Strikes is produced in conjunction with the New Hampshire Candlepin Bowling Association. And now your hosts, Doug Brown and Dan Berger.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to Park Place Lanes here in Windham, New Hampshire. Candlepin Stars and Strikes, and it is championship week. Of course, 2 hours of bowling coming up for you today, now, and then after our double feature at 5 on Stars and Strikes doubles. Doug Brown here along with Dan Murphy, and once again, we reach the point where we start to watch two things. We start to watch the competition here today, and we start to watch the final score as well to see, get an idea maybe what the seedings are going to be for the Tournament of Champions.
That's exactly what the bowlers are thinking about. Match first, and if they get to the match where it's kind of decided, then they're looking at that final score.
All right, we're left with our top two seeded bowlers, as it turns out, in this particular series. So let's meet them and set you up for this championship match today. First of all, our number 2 seed, looking for his second win in a row from Hopedale, Massachusetts, Paul Berger.
Paul Berger comes in averaging 127, had a high single of 193, high triple 500, 703 is his roll-off score, and a big 400 last week.
Yeah, to beat Mike Morgan in the semifinal, Paul threw a 437 a week ago, and so now he'll be trying to make it 2 wins in a row against a guy who's making his first appearance here in quite some time, our number 1 seed from Hampton, New Hampshire, Fred Ruonala.
Okay, Fred averaging 126, high single 202, high triple 487, and his roll-off score well over 700 at 724.
$500 to the runner-up today, $1,000 to the winner today, and of course the winner also automatically qualifies for the Tri-State Megabucks Tournament of Champions, which will come up in the spring. We hope everybody had a terrific Thanksgiving. We're glad you could make us part of your Sunday as always, and we're going to get right back with the first of 3 strings of bowling between Fred Ruonala and Paul Berger right after these messages. Don't go away. And so our top 2 seeds will duel it out here for the $1,000 first prize check and also the spot in the Tri-State Megabucks Tournament of Champions. Fred Ruonala with that 724, Paul Berger after a win last week with the 703. And here he is. First ball. And he'll shoot at the 2 and the 6. With the wood angled, this should go. And it does. Last week, Paul had 17 marks in throwing his 437, and here is number 1 this week.
Waits for the ball to return. A little superstitious there. I wonder, I have to ask Paul about that.
Well, another split. This one may not be as easy. The 7 and 9, although there is wood too.
I'd like to have the wood out a little further, but it might come off the wall, or the ball could take it off the wall. Nothing to it. 2 in a row.
2 pretty good shots there. 2 spares for Paul Berger to start the match, and now here's Fred Ruonala.
Now he could have kept 3 of his balls in his bag. Only used 2 of them. Fred off target a little bit. 1, 7, and 9 pins left. It's kind of Fred's second debut, really. He's been here for so long.
This is only the second time that Fred has been here. The first. Oh, nice spare there on the 1, 7, and 9. Take another look at that one.
Flush on the head pin, drives it straight back. Wood takes the 7.
Fred was here back on January 25th, 1987. And will it be strike on spare? Not quite.
Looked like it should have been. Moved the 5-pin a little bit off the spot.
Fred threw a 356 that day back in January of '87 and lost to Chuck Langlois. So it's been a long time between drinks of water for Fred Ruonala. He's a member of the WCBC Tour, though, and Dan, you're quite familiar with his game. And
he's an excellent, as I said last week at the close, he's an excellent candlepin bowler. It's just a matter of him winning a few of these TV matches and start to feel at home.
It's a 9-drop on the spare for Paul Berger, and that piece of wood in front is undoubtedly illegal and will be removed. Paul's already got 2 other pieces down there in front. Those will not be illegal. Going to have to negotiate those a little bit. Looking for his 3rd straight mark to start the match, and he's got it.
Well, 5 boxes completed, 5 marks, all spares. 3 by that fellow you're looking at now, Paul Berger, 2 by Fred Ruonala. Right back in the pocket, wants the 5-pin out of there or an angle on the wood.
Paul knew that something funny might happen on that ball. He was a little worried about it punching through the center and tried to give it a little extra body English.
Well, if there's a way, Paul will find it.
Nope, not this time. And a 10. 64 through 4. Fred Ruonala is from Hampton, New Hampshire. Works as a dispatcher for the Hampton Police Department. Does a lot of his bowling at the Exeter Lanes in Exeter, which is where the finals were held for this series, by the way, and at the Londonderry Bowling Center. .179 again. He converted it once already, but not this time. And 45 through 3.
Early 9-pin advantage for Paul Berger.
Oh, big first ball that time for Fred, and he leaves the 4-pin. Missed it.
He realized that as soon as he released the ball. He's going to be too far right.
10 bucks and a 9-pin lead for Paul Berger here in the early going. The 1, 3, 7, 9, and 10. With some wood, and it doesn't go.
.73 at the halfway point. Championship week, string number 1.
I was surprised in looking through the records last week, Dan, when Paul Berger and Mike Morgan were here, as
Big
Paul
strike.
strikes in the 6th. The first strike for either bowler in the match. And we'll get another look. I was about to say that in looking through the statistics for last week's match, I was surprised to see that neither Mike Morgan or Paul Berger's name appeared in the list of high single and high triple performances that we've had here on Stars and Strikes. And there's a spare for Fred in the 5th. It was interesting, Paul Berger at the end of last week's show was talking about his previous matchups with Mike Morgan. And was able to get a very nice win last week with that 437.
7 fill on the spare, 4, 7, 10 left for Fred. 1 piece of wood out in front, another at an angle that looks like it possibly could carry the 10.
Left edge of the wood, and he carries it.
Great shot by Fred Ruonala. Spare in the 6th. Just enough to catch a little bit of that wood angled towards the 10-pin to clear that out. Front piece took care of the 4 and the 7. Paul Berger working on a strike. It has a double. He has not let up since last week.
Speaking of Mike Morgan, you'll see Mike Morgan combined with Mike Poulin going for the championship of the Stars and Strikes doubles series at 5 o'clock today here on the Winds. They will be going against the number 1 seeded team of Gary Carrington and Joe Ashline. That later today at 5 o'clock after our movie double feature here on the Winds.
Going for the wood in front of the 6-pin. Paul thought he had it. I have to see the replay, but I think his ball might have stopped the wood as it was coming towards the 7-pin. It was a 129 through 8. Let's take a look at that. Yes, it did. Stopped that wood. It was rocking in front of the 7. I don't know if it would have knocked it down or not, but ball kicked it away. Now Fred will fill the spare in the 6th, trailing by 18.
Oh, drifted to the right a little bit, half Worcester. Trying to convert it, and that close, leaving the 10-pin. Again, the only score for these bowlers to really shoot at, in terms of the seeding for the Tournament of Champions, the only qualifier we have so far, of course, Peter Flynn with a 403. But it's even too early to start thinking about that. These bowlers are just thinking about the match right now.
Well, I think of it. I'd like to congratulate the winners of the October WCBC Pro Tour event. On the women's side, Carol Downey, and on the men's side, Brian Crowell.
And that was held...
Thank you for asking. It was held at Bowell's Bowling Center in Concord, New Hampshire. Great place to visit.
But I wouldn't want to live there.
Sometimes I think I do.
Yeah, I'll bet.
129 for Paul in the 8th, 103 for Fred. 26-pin advantage. Final 2 frames of the first box, and my goodness, another strike. Paul Berger, 139 now. This time he picks on the 1-2 pocket.
To lane 31 now.
A little heavy, but he's able to kick out the 4-pin, leaves himself the 3-6 for a spare. 2 choices. He's got a clear shot at 3-6 or a piece of wood that's just to the left. That's what he's going for.
Well, Paul had a 160 second game last week. He should be able to better that here with this fill ball. 159 plus a ball. And he's still not going to be among the top singles that we've ever had, but he's going to be very close.
He just missed a consistent, that's all. 168 again. Did he have the 160? Mike Morgan threw 168 2 weeks ago.
Outstanding first game for Paul Berger. 7 marks, including a double strike. And no pin standing except for that fill at the end, the 9 drop.
Oh, I'm sorry, he did have a 9 in there.
Oh, you're right.
I led you down the wrong path.
No, I had the wrong score in here, that's why.
How'd you come out with the right score, though?
I corrected the total, but didn't correct the 10 to a 9.
$112. So the lead balloons to 37. And he's still got to contend with a spare 9 in the 10th.
Just missing the head pin. He'll shoot at the 1-7. Fred had a good game going for himself until that half Worcester on the fill in the 6th. And he gets a nice spare here in the 10th.
Shot there. Caroms the ball off the piece of wood next to the head pin. The ball almost flies over the 7-pin. Just catches it.
5th mark for Fred, all spares. And he's got a nice looking first ball that time. And how did the 5-pin stay there? A 131 for Fred Ruonala, but a big 168 opening game for Paul Berger. He has the lead with 2 games to go. and we'll be back in a minute. Here's Fred Ruonala. Starting game 2.
Had a decent opening game at 131. However, the fellow with the other green shirt had a 168. That being Paul Berger.
Spare in the first.
Converts the 4 horsemen. 1, 2, 4, and 7.
But the spread eagle.
Fred kind of threw his hands up. He knew that was going to be flush on the head pin. Was hoping for a little break. Takes care of the 3 on the right.
And an 8 box.
So disappointing 22 for those 2 frames.
Paul Berger. And he's through the center. And Paul may leave another pin up here. He was going for it, though.
He didn't want to. Pretty good recovery there after missing the head pin.
And a 10. Let's see what Fred can do here with the 3, 4, 6, and 10.
I'd like to have the wood stay there, because if he misses cutting the 3 pin over to clear out the 4, the wood could help it bounce back. Well, we'll never know.
Eight it is. Ooh, and this time, chopping out just the 3 pin. And spares it up.
What a recovery. Light hit there, get some good pin action, and spare in the 4th by Fred Ruonala. Paul Berger off the head pin, but the 1, 2, and the 7 pins left.
Right there.
A couple weeks ago when Mike Morgan was bowling against Joe Ashline, he opened it with a 168, and I talked to him after the match after an exciting finish. He had to throw a strike in the last box. Said that sometimes the hardest thing is to bowl with a big lead. You become defensive. You don't attack the pins as much, and you take a little bit off the ball, and consequently you lose your rhythm. And he struggled the final 2 games. Paul doesn't look like he's lighting up at all.
In the 4th, when we return, Fred Ruonala will step back to the line to try and cut into that lead. He'll be working on a spare. Don't go away. Fred Ruonala working on the spare that he left in the 4th. You see he's yet to get a strike today. Love to have one now. And there it was, a 9 drop.
get much close without getting a strike. Everything but the 4-pin.
That's the third 9-drop he's had on a spare. And there's another spare. That's 8 spares and 15 boxes for Fred. Just really hasn't been able to bunch a lot of them together yet. And this time just a 5 fill. Yep, saw Fred turn away from that. He knew he had missed the head pin. One of our sponsors for this series on Candlepin Stars and Strikes. Always a pleasure to have them with us. Somerville Lumber. You know Somerville Lumber, Dan. That's the place where you can get it right the first time. We invite you to visit and stop by, tell them you saw about them here on TV 50.
Paul's got that 7-pin rocking, but won't go down. Gives himself the 5 and the 7. And a 10. 54 through 5. 27-pin advantage for Paul Berger.
Six-pin. But watch out for the wood. Where is it going? Paul's trying to move it around.
Just wants a clear shot at the 6-pin. Wood's saying, I'm going to give you a clear shot, but I'm going to make you wait a while. He's right on.
Right there.
Spare in the 6th.
Paul hasn't missed many the last 2 weeks.
That looked like a pretty good ball going in, but he doesn't get much to show for it. 2-4-7 on the left with a 6-10 on the right.
Maybe! Oh! Oh, even Fred doesn't believe that one. Watch the piece of wood come over.
I think when he threw the ball, I think he put up one finger like he thought he was going to chop out just the 2-pin. How wrong he was. 2, 5, and 7 left. That's what Fred has to do, is kind of tie them together.
2 in a row. Nicely done. 2 fine shots there for Fred Ruonala.
Splits the 2 and the 5. 2 goes down and clears out the 7. Paul Berger working on a spare. He'll take 6. 3, 5, 6, 10 left.
His lead right now at 35, but he's opposite 2 marks. There's one of them. That shot, we've mentioned it before, is a lot easier, or rather a lot more difficult than it looks. It's the triangle plus the extra pin in the corner. 10 marks now for each bowler.
Oh, boy.
Strike on spare for Paul Berger.
Someone just knocked on the door.
The strikes are the difference right now.
Paul answered it with a strike. 3 marks in a row, 4 in this game.
Fred has yet to throw a strike. He does have 10 spares, though.
And this game, some disappointing fills. The first box of 4, the 5th box of 5, 2 7s and a 9 on the spares. Triangle, 2, 4, 5, gets the 2 and the 5, leaves the 4.
For the 10 bucks. Off target. 1, 3, 4, 7. Yo, do you believe it?
It's at 125 now. 26. And 257 for 2. However, he's going to find himself down a whole bunch. Paul Berger's rolling along, striking the 8th, 100 already.
Look out! That close to another double.
7 pin left for a spare.
He's on it.
$120 through 9 plus the bonus ball. Already at 288.
Right in the pocket
boy.
again. What a hit that was.
Got to ask him. He waited for that ball to come back. Must have a favorite ball he throws first. And that tripping the 6-pin strike on spare gives him 130 in the 9th, 140 in the 10th, plus 2 bonus balls. He's at 308. He's at 311.
That's 5 marks in a row, too, to close out this game.
I guess a good place to leave that one. Let's see. Still working.
8 for a 148 and a 2-game total 316. Paul Berger well on the way, but he's got 1 game to go. We'll be back with it on Stars and Strikes in a minute. The applause for Paul Berger, who's thrown 316 in the first 2 games. And he starts with...
It went down on his knee. There was a second piece of wood behind that one you see lying there. Just barely missed knocking the 9-pin down. And
ho-hum.
We're off to the races again.
That is the 14th mark in 21 boxes for Paul Berger.
It's 316 the first 2 games, coupled with last week's 3-game total. If you were counting a 5-string total, it'd be 753.
That close to a double strike again. The 9-pin in the first box, the 5-pin here. 753. That's
amazing.
That's pretty good.
2 more. And you can't tell me he's not thinking about the score right now. He's got a commanding lead at 59. But at this juncture in the game, I think with that kind of lead, open up with 2 marks, he's got to be thinking of that final score. And he has a chance of putting it the highest score we've ever had, qualifying for the tournament champions.
I'm way ahead of you, Dan.
You got the computer searching for it now, right?
I'm way ahead of you.
And it's a 9 box for Fred Ruonala. He's at 257 for 2. Us mortals would be very happy with those 2 games. And a rockin' and rollin' is the 6-pin and the 8-pin. A couple pieces of wood out in front. Nice shot by Fred. Caroms the ball off the wood for the 8-pin. Right on the red line or just below it. Spare in the second. Paul Berger. String of 2 marks in a row. Moves over to lane 31. Drops 7. And a piece of wood that we'll have to have checked. Paul saying roll off. It's not going to. Cindy will go down and check it out. I think it's out of play. .316 for 2, and I think I was .335 last night for 3 in a league.
Well, keep in mind, and maybe the most amazing thing about all of this is that Paul Berger is well on his way to qualifying for his 5th consecutive Tournament of Champions.
Wow, well, that's something I wouldn't have guessed. I would have said 3. It's 5.
He's been in all of the previous 4. In 1989, he was the number 6 seed, lost his first match. In 1990, he was the number 1 seed and won it all with a win over Al Cloutier. In 1991, he was the number...
Look at this.
Oh, yes!
My. Is it his day or what? He's not only bowling well, he's real sharp. That's a cut shot that you don't see very often. My. Paul Berger putting on his own little clinic.
As I started to say, in 91, Paul came in as the number 3 seed, lost his first match to Pat Pay. And then last year, he came in as the number 1 seed and lost to Mike Morgan. So although Paul has been in all 4 of them, he's won just 1. But incredibly, it looks like he is on his way to qualifying for the 5th straight year. And to answer your original question, which was what was the highest qualifying score we've ever had for the Tournament of Champions, that was Joe Ashline's 456 back in 1991. And Paul certainly has a chance at that.
When you start making the shots that he just made, yeah, he's got a real shot at making it. That's one you don't expect to see on the scoreboard with the lead that he had.
The 10 for Fred, and 6 boxes remaining in this match, and we're all going to be interested to find out just exactly what Paul Berger's final score will be. He'll be working on a mark when we come back. Don't go away. Here's Paul Berger. He has 16 marks already. And I wouldn't bet against 17 right here.
7-pin drop. 3, 6, 10. Piece of wood out front.
There it is.
Mark it down. 72 with a bonus ball to come halfway through the 3rd game.
I think Paul might have heard me when I said that he wasn't among the top 5 high triples. He's got a good shot at it now.
Right in the pocket. And it's an 8-pin drop.
That's an 80 half.
396 already.
I don't know if, I mean, this is a spare leave, but you got to be careful of the wood here.
He's going to take a look at it. He's walking to the foul line. And I would say he'd have to come high where the 2 pieces of wood meet. The second piece will keep it in. No, wasn't quite high enough.
Too bad.
He is over 400.
With 4 boxes to go.
.406 with 4 boxes to go. My.
So he's already pushed Peter Flynn down to at least the number 2 spot. Oh, nice shot for Fred Ruonala. I'll tell you what, Fred is having a pretty good match of his own. He's got 13 marks now, all of them spares.
Absolutely. We, the lead is 74, so we're kind of looking at Paul Berger's total, but not to take anything away from Fred. I mean, he's bowling superbly. Just that he's got a tiger by the tail here in Paul Berger. He has a 71 half, averaging just a shade under 130 for the first 2 games.
Fred now at 80 through 6. Paul Berger in command. Just looking to add to the final score. Punches right through the center that time. One of the few times he's done that.
You just expect him to make these. Gave it a run, just going by the 2-pin. Make it a 9.
Don't forget, if you're in the market for a car, you want to think about stopping in Salem, New Hampshire and visiting Emmett Horgan and the gang at Rockingham Toyota Dodge Nissan, where you can come to Salem and save. Rockingham Toyota Dodge Nissan. Glad to have them back with us on Stars and Strikes.
1, 6, 7, 10. Piece of wood behind the head pin. The problem pin looks like it should be the 7.
No.
There's no problem down there. Dan, what are you talking about? Spare in the 8th.
Hasn't gone more than 2 boxes in a row without marking in this match. That's number 18. And the last 2 boxes could be interesting in terms of those records that we were talking about earlier. 456, the all-time high qualifying score for the Tournament of Champions.
Oh,
great shot by Fred Ruonala.
Didn't have much room to play there. He played the 4-pin with the wood. Just cut enough of the wood to spin into the 6 and 10. And Fred just keeps rolling along here, making some great shots. Oh, boy. Should be a law against that. You make a great shot like that, hit the object pin the next ball, and get just 3 pins, the 1, 8, 9.
$9. All right, here's the situation. Paul Berger at 109 with a ball to roll in the 8th. He is compiling a score that is going to be very, very tough to beat as the season continues. It rocked 3 or 4 times, but was there any doubt in your mind that it would go over?
Just took a little longer than some of the others, but the ball was right there in the 1-2 pocket. Knocked down 9, just as clean as can be, and 10-pin was rocking and finally went down. 129 in the 9th, plus 2 bonus balls. Light hit this time, and leaves himself the 3, 6, 10, and the 9-pin in the back.
Just missed it.
Well, there's the highest qualifying score right there.
148 and a 464. What a great finish by Paul Berger. Great finish. It was start to finish. Great.
Great 3 games.
168, 148, 148. 464.
Hey, strike for Fred in the 9th.
First one for Fred Ruonala after 14 spares. Now the interesting thing is that 464 still doesn't move him into the top 5. He's now 6th. 5th highest single we've ever had was a 465, Brian McKinley, a couple of years back.
But he has to have the record for the number of appearances in the Tournament of Champions.
Yes, there is no question about that.
It'll be a while before somebody tops that.
Another mark for Fred Ruonala. Hey, if Fred throws a strike here on this last ball, he'll have a 399. Well, it'll be a 7. So it'll be a 396 for Fred Ruonala, which on any other day might be enough to get you a win, but not today against Paul Berger. 464. We'll be back to award the prize money and talk a little bit about the Tournament of Champions. And don't forget the bonus ball contest, all coming up in a minute. Welcome back to Championship Week here on Candlepin, Stars and Strikes. Doug Brown along with Dan Murphy, and in singles at least, it is all settled, and ho-hum, for the 5th year in a row, Paul Berger will be in the Tri-State Megabucks Tournament of Champions.
Well, you know, if you sat back and said, well, let's get Paul in here and let's send in a score that he'll probably hit, I don't think I probably would have sent in 464. I might have sent in 420 or something. I was telling Fred after the match that when somebody hits 437 the week before, now's the time to get a hold of him because he can't keep that pace up. And he really didn't. He went even more. He went 464. It's just great bowling on the part of Paul Berger.
With 20 marks, too, and really just never let up. He never really had a dry spell the whole match.
And Mike Morgan was here watching, and he said the same thing to Fred, 396, Fred, and you were never in it. He says, I know the feeling, he says. He just is great bowling. Watch both of them, not to take anything away from Fred. 396 will win a lot of matches here, but not today.
All right, let's meet both bowlers, and let's have a big round of applause for Fred Ruonala, our runner-up this afternoon. Fred, I have a check here for you for $500. Now, what I want to know is, move right in here so we can get you on camera. If I had told you before the match, $396, we'll give you $396. Would you have been happy with that?
Against Paul, I don't think that would have been enough. As long as I'm going to get beat, I'll get beat by the best.
Yeah. That was, again, you seemed to be pretty sharp. You had a lot of terrific spare balls working, and yet he just never gave you an opening at all.
Yeah, I was off the head pin quite a bit, but I tried.
Well, I hope you won't make it another 6 or 7 years before you come back.
I hope not. We'll be back.
All right. Thanks, Fred, very much. We appreciate it. Congratulations. And now let's have Paul Berger see if he can win someone else some money here, as he's going to step up on lane 31 for our bonus ball contest. $40 in the jackpot. And, of course, if there's a match, both the viewer and Paul will each win a brand new set of bowling balls from Paramount Industries. Uh-oh. Worst hit he's had all day. Worst hit he had all day, a 5. See if we can draw a winner out of there. And we have a 7, not a match, for Mr. and Mrs. Edgar Paquin from Manchester, New Hampshire. So Mr. and Mrs. Paquin will be sending a consolation gift your way, and your way, Mr. Berger, is a check for $1,000. Congratulations. And 5 years in a row this is now. So I guess you knew when you came in that you probably were going to win it, right? I mean, you do it every year.
Never believe that. Not in this game. I feel real fortunate. My ball seems to work here in Park Place, and I know Fred now. He's excellent. He's a class guy, and he's a real good bowler. I mean, I had the breaks and the strikes, and he didn't.
There is something about this place, though. Your ball just seems to mix real well here. You seem to just catch enough of the head pin to really make things happen.
So far, yeah.
Well, I think also, we've talked about this a lot, the fact that your ball maybe is a little bit slower, not quite as fast-paced as some of the real hard throwers, and a place like here, that can really help you.
I'm older. I'm getting older every day.
So what you're saying is that is an advantage here?
Seems to be.
Well, now, of course, with that 464, that's the other element of this. I mean, not only are you in the show, but now you get to sit back and watch everybody else take a crack at 464.
Yeah, I feel it ought to be first or second, one or the other, and that's a nice position to be in. The fewer matches you have to throw, the better off you are.
Well, congratulations again. Terrific performance, and if not before, we will see you in the spring.
Thanks very much.
All right, Paul Berger, congratulations. Of course, Paul could still qualify in the doubles tournament of champions as well if he is able to get back on doubles as well. But, boy, it's been quite a year for Paul. I'm sure most people know by now. Earlier this year, a few months back, he threw a 500 on Channel 5, the highest triple ever televised, and now a 464 here. It's just been a terrific sequence of several months for him now. He's been on fire.
I love the statement he just made. There's hope for us older fellas, so there's still hope for me.
Senior tour, Dan.
Maybe.
There you go. Well, we're going to be back next Sunday, of course, with 5 brand new bowlers and a new 4-week series here on Candlepin, Stars and Strikes. But don't wait until then to join us, because coming up at 5 o'clock this afternoon here on the Winds, we'll have our Stars and Strikes doubles championship match. Mike Morgan and Mike Poulin will go against our number 1 seeded team of Gary Carrington and Joe Ashline. Until then, for Dan Murphy and the whole sports crew here at the Winds, I'm Doug Brown. Have a good afternoon, everybody.